So do you feel conflicted about drinking cow's milk? I'm a vegan, by the way.
Oh, I have absolutely no doubt that veganism is the right
Intellectually, makes complete sense.
Yeah, I'm a theoretical vegan.
Yeah,
definitely.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, what fun.
A philosophical vegan.
Yeah.
I think trying to get a balance between acting.
Oh, by the way, don't feel on the spot. I feel like
No, this is my favorite conversation in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would much rather talk about ethics than comedy any day of the week.
Let's do that
and
for the rest of the time.
I'm much more boring about it.
But that's fine. I watched your commencement speech, and I was like, I want to invite all the Minchies, not just show Minchies. I want all the Minchies. So
preachy Minchin.
I'm also vegan. I'm flexible. I don't hold any ideology too tightly. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Last night I ate some sashimi. You know, like fuck everything. It's okay. Like everything's okay. So I don't have. You're not with a militant. I just also am with you that I was like, this seems to make a lot of sense. Plus, it makes me feel nice.
If you're going to be a vegetarian and then you look at the dairy industry, it's very hard to ethically hold on to vegetarianism and not go to veganism.
I have noticed the vegan community, which I've gotten to observe as one of them, cloaked as they are, have very little respect for the vegetarian community.
Yeah, because it's like...
oh, Aristotle's a vegan too.
Yeah.
It's just like... what do you think you're not killing animals because you're drinking? They also die. They're all dying.
Yeah.
Everybody's dying.
And they suffer more.
And they suffer.
I would rather a young cow frolics in a field for a year and then gets a bolt in the back of their head,
right,
and eat it.
Yeah.
Than
keep
have
it on its
massively drugged up cow in a pen
with
being
a hole
milked
in its
by
stomach.
a machine.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think milking cattle get a very good quality of life.
No, they don't. Absolutely not.
I think they get a terrible
Well, they're perpetually kept pregnant, which is a weird thing to consider. Like, you just think cows are always kind of lactating, but they're pregnant cows. That's why they're lactating. It's for the baby, you know what I mean? So they're kept pregnant. Yeah. They have holes in their stomach. So have you ever seen that where they just kind of reach in and they go like, oh, he's not digesting very well. Yeah. Just like a plastic hole always.
They're just like machines,
And they're always on their feet, and then they too are killed when they no longer useful. And their babies are killed if they're male.
So I think I think lots of things. And I think one of the things I think is that living ethically in the world is very, very difficult. The only way you can truly do it is to kill yourself, because we're going to be consuming and...
very true, detective, because we're a virus on the earth.
Yeah, but all species feed off other species. I mean, we are the worst possible of all time,
right.
In terms of consuming resources. And being a human is very hard to live ethically. And being a vegan doesn't make you suddenly ethically... Oh, I've done my bit. I mean... Every vegan is a hypocrite.
Sure.
Just like I am, and every human on the earth who tries to do good also, with the other hand, is helping other people suffer. I can do a charity show and give all the money to people, and then I go and drive my car that was made partly with slave labour and that uses fossil fuels and blah, blah.
Right.
So I think you have to sit on a continuum. Veganism is all the way down the animal welfare ethical thing, and that's bloody great. And you can try and be that ethical in every element of your life. But, a lot of vegans I know are anti-GMO, and I've seen no evidence of why in my entire life of reading about GMO. And they think by being anti-GMO, they're being really ethical. But I think it's bullshit, because Greenpeace don't agree that Monsanto should give away the license to golden rice, which gives vitamins to poor people, which they've done. But they can't grow because of, or at least they're struggling to grow because of so-called, it's
GMO.
Complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated. The hippies are stopping a really good genetically modified rice going to Africa. And by hippies, I mean, I'm one of them in many, many ways.
I understand.
Science is complicated. Ethics are complicated. I think you've got to find a place on the curve where you can live and be good on an individual basis as well as a macro basis. So I think eating less meat is a really good thing. And vegans should encourage meat eaters to eat a bit less meat as one part of their activism. Of course, and all I want is for them to grow meat in a lab. As soon as they can grow meat in a lab and generate milk in a lab, I'm on it. I've got no problem with that. We've got to get that happening. But,
why can't we do that? They grew that ear on that mouse.
They're getting there. It's hard. The meat they grow in the lab's not very nice at the moment. It doesn't have the fat, and unfortunately...
But McDonald's is using it. It's fine.
Well, that would be brilliant. If McDonald's could just make burgers in a lab, be brilliant.
Yeah.
But, I think I should be a vegan.
Yeah. But you know,
but I don't think me not being a vegan and someone being a vegan means they're living a more globally ethical life. But
couldn't agree more.
But they are at least doing something that it's a sacrifice.
Well, it's hard to not fall into the despair. I was thinking about this on the way over. I was like, because, you know, it's hard. It's like, oh, if you're a vegan, every meal, you're like, somebody had a statistic, like every day, 3 fewer animals are dying because of me. And I'm like, well, what are they doing? You know what I mean? It's hard. It's easy to fall into that despair. Yeah. It's like, is that the one in the slaughterhouse that's like, we'll kill you tomorrow? Like, there's less demand. Like, it's hard. And then you fall into that kind of existential place where you're just like, well, who cares? Like, why do anything?
Well, and you know, it's the same with not, you know, you buy a Prius. Yeah, I bought a Prius. And then it turns out that Priuses are not very good for the environment at all.
Is that true?
Well, no, they're very expensive to environmentally expensive to build. You should buy a second-hand car, but second-hand cars put out more carbon. But the batteries of Priuses are impossible to dispose of, and they don't actually get better mileage anyway. I've got a Mustang V6, and I'm very environmentally friendly because I just don't drive it. You know, whereas my friend with a Tesla thinks he's green. But where do you think you're getting your electricity from, you moron? Teslas are steam-powered.
Yeah.
Teslas are steam-powered cars. We burn coal to make steam to drive a turbine that makes electricity that comes through the grid and into your car. You have a steam-powered, coal-burning car, unless you have solar,
yeah.
and you're self-sufficient. But solar is very expensive environmentally to make as well. Although that's definitely where we should be heading, without a doubt, at this stage. But you know, it's complicated. The green movement stopped nuclear post Chernobyl. Can you imagine how much better off we'd be if the green movement hadn't stopped nuclear? Instead of stopping it, if we had just made it incredibly good. And I'm putting aside for now, and I don't have all the arguments, the risk of weaponization and all that, but just, which can't be put aside, but, you know, if you could create systems that, like, third-generation nuclear plants are so much safer than Chernobyl, and even Chernobyl only went down because of gross incompetence and lack of, and all that. Imagine how much less coal we would have burnt and fossil fuels we would have consumed if we had stayed nuclear in the 70s. Complicated, right?
Yeah.
The Green Movement are responsible for that. And I'm a greenie. But we have to accept that.
Yeah.
It's not, you can't wave a banner and not eat a pig and go, I'm treading gently on the earth, you know? It's just not that simple.
Right.
And I use that sort of complexity to justify the fact that I'm a selfish fuck.
Right.
And I want to eat meat.
Yep, and we want to take planes to gigs.
I take planes everywhere. I'm terrible.
Yeah.
I am the absolute alpha consumer, even though I try. I also know that recycling's almost a zero sum.
Is
you
it?
know, environmentally, you send the trucks around. What's driving those trucks? I mean, it's hard.
Oh,
it's
wow.
really hard.
You've just put a real...
But no, we should all recycle because apart from anything else, we're putting a system in place that will...
I'm done.
We can then... We'll be out of solar power. We can green power our trucks. We just got to put one thing in place at a time.
Yeah.
Got to work on technology, though. Technology has to save it all because individual acts of ethical sacrifice will never, ever fix the earth. You cannot ask humans to do individual acts of personal sacrifice.
Well, it's funny that you're fucking brilliant. Secondly, as a vegan, most of it, I'm going to come clean, most of it is that I like the way I feel. And that includes a smidge, I don't claim it too much, a smidge of being like, I'm nice to animals. That's a feeling that I'm chasing.
Oh, it's all, and of course, all altruism is selfish.
Boom!
Of course.
Yeah, but nobody's saying that.
You have to admit that. Why do you help other people? It makes me feel good, so it's about you.
Right.
I guess. I mean, of course, we're solipsists by nature. We can't possibly go through the world
isn't there something
satisfying ourselves.
Can't we surrender to that idea and be like, is that
Well, exactly. I've got a bit of stand-up that I've never really done, but maybe I will, but now I'm going to blow it, which is like, altruism is inherently selfish because whatever altruistic act you're doing it because it makes you feel good. But it's better to be selfish by making yourself feel good by giving all your possessions away and teaching poor people musical instruments than making yourself feel good by ejaculating on the back of an 8-year-old Thai boy. You know, just because they're all selfish acts, it doesn't mean they're equivalent.
Yeah.
And people get outraged if you say altruism's selfish. But it's fine that it's selfish.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah.
You're doing a good selfish thing, not a bad.
Surrender. Right? Just surrender.
Yeah, it's all right. Just let yourself be a dirty, needy, evolve to be competitive, evolve to be greedy human. We are greedy. It's why we're all addicted to Facebooks. We're greedy for social interaction. We're greedy for food. It's why we're all fat. We're greedy for space and possessions. And we're a competitive... We've evolved. We didn't get put here. We evolved. And evolution requires winning competitions, and winning competitions require being fundamentally needy.
We're all genetically spawned from the biggest asshole.
Yeah, the biggest asshole.
The winners.
But none of this means not being a good humanist. I mean, quite the opposite. The more you face the truth about humanity, the better you can be as a humanist.